Spence have enough activity. I would like to see Spence do well, but Zoo's a tough guy too.
Yeah. Did you know his father at all? Hudson?
Yes, I met his father.
Yeah. Hell of a fighter.
Yeah, very tough.
Yeah. And then I asked him
I
what.
think the son, the father might be tougher. I think the son's a better fighter.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
father's probably tougher though, but I think the son, his moves, he's a better fighter.
That's a hard call, but I'm going with Earl. I'm
Yeah.
hoping Earl can withstand the onslaught that Zoo gonna probably put out early, because if you get past 4 or 5 rounds, Earl definitely gonna beat him. Because Earl, to me, is stronger later than anybody fight. You get him past round 6, and you got a problem in your hand. I don't care who it is. Especially if he ain't beat it up or nothing in the face. If you get to round 6, you got a problem, because that's when he starts to come alive.
I think that's a great fight for both of them, because it's winnable for both of them. Me and my boy Tszyu had a little wager on if him and Spence fought each other, who will win. And I had to back Spence because that's what I believe in. But, I'm not the one fighting, so at the end of the day, I'm not the one that controls who win or lose.
Everyone has an opinion about a potential showdown between Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu. But when some of boxing's most respected voices begin sharing their predictions, the conversation takes on a whole new level of importance. Their experience, insight, and understanding of the sport offer a deeper perspective on what could happen if these two elite fighters finally meet inside the ring.
To me is Spence. He's saying he doesn't know if he wants to fight after this fight. He hasn't fought in 3 years. He's going up 2 weight classes.
I feel like both guys are at the crossroads.
Yeah,
and
it's a
that's
crossroads
the reason why
fight.
it's 50-50.
It's a
You know what I mean?
crossroads fight.
I think that Tim Tszyu can be very well at the end of his career. If he can't beat a guy that's been off for 3 years like y'all
That's
talking
it.
about, then what?
It's a wrap.
Then he's a wrap, exactly.
Except that if Errol Spence is a decent percentage of what he used to be, what can Tim Tszyu really do to beat him? Errol Spence was functioning on a higher level. But the question is, whatever, and there's a separate thing, what does Tim Tszyu have left? But he's at least not saying things that make you believe he doesn't really want to do this anymore. The way Spence is talking makes it sound like, and boxing is the kind of game, and you know better than anyone here, and you know what is playing. We're playing a violent sport. What means that if a football player is like, I don't want to run through that brick wall anymore, he's basically done it. If a fighter starts talking like about stuff after boxing and he's not really into it anymore, what does that mean?
Legendary figures such as Mike Tyson, Terrence Crawford, Timothy Bradley, and several other respected voices in boxing have all shared their opinions on the potential matchup. Their predictions have only fueled the debate, leaving fans and analysts deeply divided over who would come out on top in what many believe could become one of the sport's most compelling fights.
Talk about the wrinkles in the game, right? I'm listening to the kid. I'm talking to the kid. I'm like, what wrinkle do you have? I haven't asked him that, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, I think to the point where you were saying, I think you're coming into this thing like you're Errol Spence Jr. That's just always going to be Errol Spence Jr. and no one can be Errol Spence Jr. And to me, that's a problem. I think he has to have a wrinkle. What I mean by that is specific things that he does that are going to offset what Tim Tszyu does. Prior to ever, I don't think he's really ever said, I'm not going to do that tonight because this is what that guy does well. I'm going to be me and you got to beat me. And that's literally how he's thinking and feeling now. And I'm like, that could be a problem for him because you get in the ring underestimating him because you're overestimating yourself. And you look up and now we feel like Tim Tszyu's going to win this fight.
Many still believe Errol Spence Jr. has what it takes to win because they remember the dominant champion who ruled the welterweight division for years. They point to his unforgettable victory over Kell Brook on foreign soil, where he captured the world title and established himself as one of boxing's elite. Supporters argue that even after several years away from the ring, Spence's championship experience, ring intelligence, timing, and proven mentality cannot simply disappear, believing those qualities could still make the difference against any opponent.
I don't have to come back, but that's one of those things, like, why not? I started training, I started, feeling good, feeling way better than I was feeling. And, it's just something in me. Just got the intuition just to come back and just start training and it just started rolling over for there. Because at first, like, I trained for a couple of days and then I'm like, nah, and then I train for a week or two, and I'm like, nah, I'll take 3-4 days off. But like this was the first time like I started training, then I never stopped. Like I just started going, and then I got to where I was like, man, it's time. I'm ready to fight again. So now we.
On the other side of the debate, many believe Tim Tszyu enters this fight with significant advantages. They point to the fact that he is younger, naturally bigger, and fighting on home soil against an opponent who has not competed since 2023. To them, those factors cannot be ignored. Tszyu has remained active, faced quality opposition, and continued to develop his skills, while respected figures such as Jeff Finnick have added further confidence to his corner. That is what makes this matchup so difficult to predict. Some are placing their faith in the proven champion Errol Spence once was, while others believe Tim Tszyu is evolving into the better fighter with every performance. Until they step into the ring, however, no interview or prediction can truly answer which version will prevail.
We're all here for one reason. That's to, first of all, to make Tim feel great, and then my job is to train him. On Sunday, it comes down to one thing. If Errol makes us fight his fight, Errol will be successful. If Tim can do the opposite, which I'm 100% sure we have the plan, and I have the athlete to do that, and we will be successful. So all of a sudden, Errol's going to have to do something he's never done before. He's never fought Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's not Garcia. He's none of those guys. Tim's a unique, amazing pressure fighter that hopefully is doing things now without less mistakes, and that always helps.
Terence Crawford understands exactly what it takes to face Errol Spence after sharing the ring with him. Timothy Bradley knows how difficult it can be for a fighter to return after a lengthy layoff. And Mike Tyson has witnessed firsthand how a single night can completely reshape a career. Every expert can analyze the tape, compare styles, and make confident predictions. But once the opening bell sounds, opinions no longer matter. Only performance does. The biggest question now is whether Errol Spence will remind the boxing world why he was once considered one of the sport's most dominant champions, or whether Tim Tszyu will deliver the defining victory that forces an entire generation of boxing experts to rethink everything they believed about this matchup. Soon, the answers will come inside the ring.
I don't really think of what's going to go forward. I purely just think of this is the biggest moment of my career, and I'm here to take it with both hands.
Given how you trained,
Yeah.
given how you've seen how your camp has, unfolded, what do you see in your mind happening in the fight?
Oh man, I'm super confident from what I've been doing in the ring. In sparring, I haven't been getting hit much at all, actually. And that plays a big part.
Yeah.
Coming in rejuvenated, my hands are flowing, my body's flowing. I'm not boiling myself down to a certain weight. So in God's hands, we're gonna take the fight to him, let my hands go, and hopefully we get a nice.
As the predictions continue to pour in, Teddy Atlas offers one of the most balanced and thoughtful assessments of the matchup. Rather than focusing on reputations or past achievements alone, he evaluates where both fighters stand at this stage of their careers. Atlas openly admits that he would like to favor Errol Spence because of everything Spence has already accomplished at the highest level of the sport, achievements Tim Tszyu has yet to match. In his view, that championship experience is a significant advantage. However, Atlas also recognizes the reality of the present. He points out that the fighter entering this bout is not the same Spence who dominated years ago, but one returning after a 3-year absence from official competition. That long layoff introduces too many unanswered questions, ultimately leading Atlas to lean toward Tim Tszyu, despite his deep respect for Spence's proven pedigree.
I'm not saying Tszyu's an elite guy. He's not Joe Frazier. I'm not saying that. And it wasn't 5 years. But again, McGregor showed it was 5 years. But he showed that it's really hard to do, if not impossible to do. And here is Spence with 3 years off, coming back at a different weight class and seeing if he could get it done against the guy who has been knocked out, against the guy whose talent never showed itself to be the level Spence's was when Spence was at that level. But we don't know what Spence is now. We have no idea what level Spence is.
Teddy Atlas continues to emphasize the importance of activity, pointing to legendary fighters such as Muhammad Ali and even Conor McGregor as examples of how long periods away from competition can gradually affect a fighter's timing, reflexes, and overall rhythm. While many acknowledge that Errol Spence never stopped training during his time away, Atlas believes there is a significant difference between preparing in the gym and performing under the pressure of an actual fight. In his view, training can maintain fitness, but only real competition reveals whether a fighter's instincts and sharpness remain intact. That uncertainty is why Atlas refuses to make assumptions before seeing Spence back in the ring. Meanwhile, Tim Tszyu enters the matchup with several clear advantages, including his youth, recent activity, natural size, and the support of a passionate home crowd, all of which strengthen the case for those predicting a Tszyu victory.
At the end of the day, if you're asking me for a pick, again, I'd love to pick Spence. I would. I really would. I'll be honest. But being at home and Tszyu being, active, there's too many question marks about Spence. Tszyu, even with the flaws in him, I know what I'm getting. And I think that probably would be enough for me if I had to bet on a fight to favor Tszyu in this one. But who knows? Who knows? But I do know that the past has told us that when you're inactive that long, that alone can be a real...
Teddy Atlas ultimately leans toward Tim Tszyu because he has greater confidence in what Tszyu is capable of delivering right now. Even so, his prediction is far from absolute. There is a noticeable sense of caution in the way he explains his choice, highlighting just how difficult this matchup is to evaluate. Atlas also raises questions about Jeff Fennick's influence, wondering whether the methods that made him a legendary fighter will translate seamlessly into guiding another elite competitor. He acknowledges that Fennick could help elevate Tszyu's game, but he also recognizes the possibility that certain tactical adjustments might unintentionally favor Errol Spence. Those uncertainties leave Atlas backing Tszyu with measured confidence rather than complete certainty. When one of boxing's most respected analysts delivers a prediction while openly acknowledging the unanswered questions, it becomes clear that this is the kind of fight where every expectation could be overturned once the opening bell rings.
I know that Tszyu has a legendary former champion now training him.
Fennick.
And Jeff Fennick. And I sometimes you could say, wow, that's a good thing. I don't know if it's all. We'll find out. I don't know if it's always. Maybe it is. I don't know if it always is. Because I've seen former fighters. I've been in the trenches seeing it. Where former fighters, some of them become like Buddy McGurk, became a really good trainer. Andy Lee, become a really good trainer. But some of them don't. Some of Roy Jones didn't quite get there to that. And sometimes it's because they try to impose what they did onto the other. And it can't happen all the time that way. Not everyone could do what you did. Not everyone could do that.
The uncertainty Teddy Atlas highlighted continues when Paulie Malignaggi offers his perspective, but instead of claiming certainty, he embraces the unanswered questions surrounding the matchup. Paulie notes that both Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu appeared calm and composed during fight week, describing the atmosphere as the quiet before the storm. In his view, appearances reveal very little because everything changes once the opening bell rings. His biggest concern is determining which version of each fighter will actually show up. With Tszyu, there is recent footage and enough performances to evaluate both his strengths and weaknesses. Spence, however, remains the biggest unknown after spending 3 years away from official competition. Rather than pretending to have all the answers, Malignaggi admits that no one truly knows what to expect until the fight begins. Even so, he believes the contest is unlikely to go the full distance, predicting a stoppage somewhere along the way, while deliberately avoiding choosing which fighter will ultimately have their hand raised.
I mean, we're going to get a lot of answers on fight night, but how do you make a prediction on a fight like this? It's very, very difficult. You got Tim, who's been in the ring but not been consistent, as far as the way he's fought, right? Errol's not been in the ring at all. So, what version of Errol do you see, considering the last time you saw him, he didn't look so good at all, so it could be anything, I think everybody agrees that they're on the other side of their best, but who's got more left and who's got, enough left to make one last push and one last run in this.
Paulie Malignaggi's approach is not about avoiding a prediction. It is about recognizing just how unusual and unpredictable this matchup truly is. If Errol Spence still possesses the timing, pressure, toughness, and championship qualities that made him one of boxing's elite fighters, Tim Tszyu could suddenly find himself facing a level of competition he has never overcome before. However, if the 3-year absence has taken something away from Spence, Tszyu may be the perfect opponent to expose those weaknesses quickly with his physical strength, aggression, and determination. Paulie also emphasizes that the winner of this fight will immediately become a major force at either 154 or 160 pounds, proving that this is far more than a nostalgic matchup between two recognizable names. There is real opportunity and career-changing momentum waiting on the other side. Teddy Atlas favors Tszyu because he trusts the value of activity, while Paulie refuses to choose a winner because he believes there are still too many unanswered questions. In a way, that uncertainty makes the fight even more intriguing. Everyone wants a clear answer before the bell rings, but Malignaggi's message is simple. The opening rounds may reveal more about Errol Spence's current level than 3 years of speculation ever could.
There's also Tim or Errol could stay at middleweight. Who knows, right? I mean, so
you think they will, Paul?
I think Tim would. I'm not sure about Errol. Errol was a big welter. I think Errol could give himself options at either
back
weight
to
class.
54, maybe
back to 54. But either way, I mean, the winner of this fight, no matter if it's a 54 or 60, becomes one of the major names at either of the weight classes. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. As far as trying to predict the fight, I think the fight ends in a stoppage one way or the other, but I don't.
While Paulie Malignaggi prefers to wait and see how the fight unfolds before making a final judgment, Jeff Mayweather has no hesitation in choosing a side. Jeff is backing Errol Spence, and what makes his prediction interesting is that he does not ignore the concerns surrounding Spence's 3-year absence. He openly acknowledges that returning after such a long layoff could create challenges, but he also presents another perspective, that the time away may have actually benefited Spence by allowing him to recover, reset, and return without rushing into unnecessary fights. Jeff points out that Spence has never been the type of fighter to chase easy victories just to improve his record. Instead, he has consistently tested himself against the best competition available. From Jeff's viewpoint, Tim Tszyu is the perfect opponent for this comeback because Tszyu has faced his own challenges and experienced difficult moments inside the ring. That changes the entire dynamic of the matchup. Rather than being a battle between a perfect fighter and a flawed one, it becomes a question of whose strengths remain effective when the fight becomes uncomfortable and demanding.
Expecting a good performance from Spence. I think Tszyu is probably going to press the fight like he normally does. But I also think that if the crowd play a big part in this, he's going to take even more risks, and that can backfire.
When Jeff Mayweather examines the weight situation, he does not view 160 pounds as a major warning sign for Errol Spence. He believes Spence was already a naturally large welterweight, and carrying the additional weight could actually benefit him after such a long break from competition. However, the key factor Jeff keeps returning to is the jab. In his opinion, Spence's entire game plan starts with establishing that weapon, controlling the center of the ring, and forcing Tim Tszyu to think instead of constantly moving forward. If Spence can create that rhythm and dictate the pace, Jeff believes fans could see the same technical precision and control that made him one of boxing's best. Still, Tsyu's home crowd adds another important element to the equation. Jeff acknowledges that the energy from thousands of supporters could push Tszyu to another level, but it could also encourage him to take unnecessary risks and turn every exchange into a war. That is where the danger lies, letting the atmosphere force a fighter into chasing highlight moments instead of following a disciplined strategy. Ultimately, Jeff gives Spence the advantage because he believes Errol possesses the more complete skill set and even sees the possibility of a stoppage victory. However, he adds one important condition. Spence must deliver a clear and convincing performance. If Errol wants to erase every doubt surrounding his comeback, he cannot leave Australia with a fight that makes fans debate the scorecards. He has to prove his return was real by making a statement inside the ring.